Welcome, everybody. I think everything is working now. I wanted to cover Candace Owens and Hunter Biden. Candace Owens interviews Hunter Biden. Full. Okay, cool. Let's pull this up. There we are. And I was at 347. It's kind of boring before this point, so let's just jump forward. All right. Hunter Biden interviewed Candace Owens, or Candace Owens interviewed Hunter Biden recently, bizarrely. Let's give this a listen.
In recovery for 7 years, but or close to 7 years, June 1st.
Yeah, I definitely thought you were on drugs while your
Yeah.
father was in the White House. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it might have just also been the timing of the laptop coming out and then people just assuming that you were still on drugs. I don't know. But
Actually, let me step back. Let's start a little bit earlier. Start at, let's see, maybe right here.
your journey. And I guess I want to start with just one question for the culture. The cocaine that was found at the White House, was it yours?
No, not only was it not mine. No, number one is thank you for having me here. And one of the reasons is to be able to answer these questions. You know, the one thing I am, after 6 years of this, I've been sober since June 1st of 2019, clean and sober.
And of course, Biden took office in 2021, January 2021. So he's been clean and sober since his dad was in the White House, since years before his dad was in the White House, is the point here.
Verifiably so, by the way, and verifiably so by the Bureau of Probation, in which I was drug tested randomly for over the course of 2 years while I went through my trials and things like that. But beyond that is that directly to your question, I wasn't even there. Not only there, but people have to understand is where that cocaine was found was, the visitors entrance underneath that is where visitors come in and they come over from the old executive office building staff to go.
Interesting. So it was the visitors center, and it was a cubby in the visitors center. So it sounds like it was most likely a visitor.
To the go to the Oval or go to the chief of staff's office or to the offices in the West Wing, and it was found in a cubby in right outside of the Situation Room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like no possibility, not even remotely, beyond the fact that I wasn't even there.
Right.
I mean, I spent probably, over the course of 4 years, maybe 25 days at the White House, like 25 nights, 30, if I'm being fair. And so it's just it was an easy, I'm an easy target, and understandably so.
Right.
I mean, I've been, I think, probably the most famous addict and famous person, through the grace of God, in recovery for 7 years, or close to 7 years, June 1st.
I wonder what kind of recovery program he's in. Of course, I reject NA and AA. I think they're toxic garbage that nobody should be going to. But by the grace of God, I have to wonder if he's involved in them.
Yeah, I definitely thought you were on drugs while your father was in the White House. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it might have just also been the timing of the laptop coming out and then people just assuming that you were still on drugs. I don't know. That might have been why in our heads we thought that.
I think that
He's in a famous recovery program, is he? I don't know anything about it. Let's see if we can find out.
it was that they purposely conflated. I wrote a book, which came out in April of 2021, in which I did something that very few people, I think, ever in that are kind of like similarly situated to me do, in which I was 100% frank about the fact that not only was I an addict, not only was I alcoholic. I don't really see the distinction between the two when they're both drugs.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
But I was a crack addict. Like I was a degenerate crack addict. I mean, I've heard you call me a crackhead many times, and the truth of the matter is, I was a crackhead.
Yeah.
And I say that not to shock people, because it's really shocking. Crack cocaine carries such a stigma to it to begin with, but I say it because I think that there are so many people. I know there are so many people. I think that there's, at any given time, 30 million Americans that are either in active addiction or in recovery. There's not a single person that I know that hasn't been impacted by addiction at some level, in some form, personally, or with someone that is one degree of separation from them that they love. No one that I know.
Least of all me.
Totally. I agree. Addiction affects a lot of people.
And part of that, one of the reasons I'm here, the stories that you tell about that, in terms of
My family.
your family, and there is where the common ground is for me. I can 100% say this, is that a friend of mine gave me this quote about 2 years ago, and it's become my mantra. It's Mother Teresa. It was attributed to Mother Teresa. Is, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family.
If you want to change the world, go home and love your family. That doesn't change the world, though. That literally just changes your family. Is the implication that if you have love in your heart for families, then you'll have it for others as well? I don't understand what the point of that is. Or, yeah, I don't know.
That's my everything now, and part of that is not just the family that you have by blood and birth, but also the community that you're inextricably tied to, and that community for me is the recovery community.
Oh boy. Okay. I hope he's not talking about NA or AA. I appreciate it otherwise.
And it's people that are still sick and suffering from addiction.
I can appreciate that.
And so the biggest reason that I wanted to come talk to you, beyond the fact, and this is not me blowing smoke, I think that regardless of whether I agree with you, that you're probably the most effective communicator I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Behind a microphone. And it's really driven me crazy at times. It really, really,
When I was
really
the
made me
enemy.
mad. Yeah. But is it, I wanted to talk to you about those things and anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm most interested in the addiction story. And
Yeah.
I was saying to you before we got
Of course, I'm an ex-addict as well, so I understand. This is certainly going to be interesting.
before we started rolling, that this was sort of something that I noticed when I would cover various topics, whether it was pornography, drugs on my
Yeah.
show, drinking, how many men would write and say they were suffering with
Oh my God, dude. She's slipping adult entertainment in with heroin. Fucking please. I get so sick of this shit. Honestly.
various things, and yet they don't often speak about like how they're quietly suffering whether it's with addiction to pornography, addiction to drugs, and I don't think there are enough conversations about it. And so when I watched that interview of you just laying it out there, something that most people try to hide or they're shameful of, I was like, there actually just needs to be more dialogue about it. I grew up with tons of that.
Still laughing, thinking about Marjorie Taylor Greene's unintentional complimenting Hunter's hog with a 12-inch redaction. I didn't see that. That's funny. I remember when she did that shit. That was so fucked up, dude. Imagine, like, you in that situation where some piece of shit congressman posts a picture of you completely naked for the official historical record. How fucked up is that? Honestly. It's just disgusting, dude.
Addicts in my family. I have people in my family who are still addicted. And there is, I think, there is a natural anger that people have when they, for some reason, believe, and I think this was part of the anger that even some that I had it toward you before I heard you speak about your addiction, is that you sort of think when somebody has money and political connections that that somehow removes them um, from going through these sorts of barriers in life. So when I grew up, it's like, oh, okay, like you have uncles, whatever, that are addicted to crack, you have cousins that are doing crack, whatever it is, or experimenting with meth and drugs and those things.
I feel like crack is definitely like is fallen out of favor heavily now, right? Like, who does that anymore? I don't think it's as common. Hang on, there's a loud truck driving by. What is it? It's a, I don't know, some kind of a truck. I think a street cleaning truck. Anyway. Nope, another one behind it. Driving along. Doing their thing. Okay, there we go. I think meth came along and completely changed the face of the game, right? Because meth was like basically the crack high, except it lasted for literal days instead of just like 5 minutes or less. So I don't think that crack is as common as it once was. I think meth has taken holds very much, right?
And then you see someone that has a life of privilege, and for some reason in your mind, you wrongly go, okay, that can't happen. And it did happen. And
Everybody says they thought I wasn't going live today. Yeah, well, I wasn't planning on going live yesterday either, and I didn't go live yesterday because we were supposed to be called into the hospital to have the baby, you know? And they called and they said, yeah, I'm sorry, we're a little busy today. You're going to have to wait. You can't come in right now, sorry. So I'm still babyless and sitting here waiting. And it's like, you know what? If I'm going to be sitting here anyway, I might as well be streaming. Why not? So here I am. I didn't expect to be here either.
I'd like to hear like how you got addicted. Like what was actually the story, your path toward addiction?
Yeah. So thank you for letting me talk about that or asking me about it. And I really mean it. It's one of the things that traps people. I can only speak about myself, but I think that people that are in that are addicts or that are in recovery, also you find out really fast is that you're not as terminally unique as you think you are. Is that and one of the things that uh, uh, that is really important about addicts talking to each other and talking about it is that realization. Because one of the things that traps you in your addiction is shame.
Mm.
And you know, you like me are Catholic, and we have learned that
They're both Catholic. Yeah, they're both Catholic.
guilt is an appropriate emotion. Guilt is an appropriate response to something when you've done something wrong, and you're supposed to atone for it. And you're supposed to seek forgiveness, whether the forgiveness comes from an individual or not. You're that that is that's the lesson, is that it is in only through seeking that forgiveness can you release yourself from that guilt. That's appropriate. Shame is not. Shame is just absolutely corrosive. Shame is you telling yourself that you're not worthy, that you're never going to be worthy, that the things that you've done you could never be redeemed from. And I've done horrible things in my addiction in terms of what I did in terms of my relationships and decisions that I made. And more than anything is just removing myself from being present for the people that love me. Um, and and what happened to me, um, and I really mean this, is that the exposure, not piecemeal, but the total exposure, my entire digital footprint stolen from me, a 20-year digital footprint, every text message, every picture, all of the things that that you would be ashamed of.
I personally believe that the Hunter Biden laptop thing was a Russian plant. They were looking for some. I mean, the FBI and the CIA said this has footprints of Russian disinformation, the Hunter Biden laptop story. And he's never confirmed up to this moment whether it was actually his laptop with his stuff on it actually or not. But you notice what's not there. There's a lot of stuff that should be, that one would expect, but isn't. Like, all we found on the Biden laptop was stuff that you would find on Google Drive on the cloud. That's it. I would be willing to bet that his iCloud account or his Gmail or whatever was hacked, and they downloaded everything they could, and they put it on a laptop and made it look like it was his, and then brought it into a repairman who was blind, who couldn't identify the person who actually brought it in. Identify themselves as Hunter Biden, drop the laptop off, leave, and then just never come back. Especially a blind repairman who is MAGA. I mean, what are the chances that Hunter Biden, of all people, would find somebody who is blind and MAGA and a computer repairman? And he would leave his laptop with them overdue and like just not pick it up at all. What are the chances realistically, please? Anyway, I'm very, very suspicious of the whole story.
Became front page news for 4 years, 5 years, beginning in 2019. And it forced me into a choice. And the choice was, do I get out of bed and live, or do I die?
Interesting. So the laptop story was, is he saying that was the catalyst to get him to stop doing drugs?
Became that much of a dichotomy. And I chose to live. And it wasn't easy. And maintaining sobriety in that kind of like a pressure cooker is often the thing that triggers you. But something broke in me in a good way, which was that I no longer have any fear. I like, sitting down with you is, to me, an opportunity for you to see me as a human being and not, Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah.
And the pictures that, Congressman Green, put up in Congress, or the New York Post. I think I was on the cover of the New York Post in 1 year more than anybody in the history of the paper.
I think the New York Post was the one that broke the Hunter Biden laptop story, right? The Russian disinformation campaign, as I see it. Hang on. Let me go grab my coffee real fast. It's going to take me 30 seconds. Yeah. All right. I'll be right back. 1 second.
And none of it was good. None of it was good. And, but what it's given me is the opportunity to own it all, is to own all of my story without shame or fear, realizing that I have a community of people out there that I want to be of service to. I really mean that. And so part of it is by me being able to be honest about it. We were just talking before we started this, is the hardest thing for any addict to do is not only get honest with the people that they love, but to get honest with themselves. And until they can really see themselves for who they are, all of it, and decide to love themselves, then the cycle is just going to continue. It's just, at least in my experience, that's the truth.
I think one of the things...
Did I even answer your question?
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the first time that you got introduced to it, because that's interesting.
Oh, I know. I went into all the good stuff.
Actually, start with that. Like, how did you actually get introduced? First off, describe for people who don't know the difference between cocaine and crack, because crack is a lot more addictive.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Let me step back now to where we were.
and none of it was good. None of it was good. And but what it's given me is the opportunity to own it all, is to own all of my story without shame or fear, realizing that I have a community of people out there that I want to be of service to. I really mean that, and so, and part of it is by me being able to be honest about it. We were just talking before we started this. Is the hardest thing for any addict to do is not only get honest with the people that they love, but to get honest with themselves.
Mm.
And until they can really see themselves for who they are, all of it, and decide to love themselves, then the cycle is just going to continue. It's just, at least in my experience, that's the truth.
I think one of the things.
Did I even answer your question?
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the first time that you got introduced to it, because that's interesting.
Oh, I know. I went into all the good
yeah,
stuff.
actually, do start with that. Like, how did you actually get introduced? First off, describe for people who don't know the difference between cocaine and crack, because crack is a lot more addictive.
Yeah.
And so, just what is the difference?
I know I got a lot of heat for.
You basically take the Coke and you mix it with baking soda and then boil it effectively, and all of the impurities come out of the Coke, and it's pure, unadulterated Coke that has been chemically changed and bonded with the baking soda, I believe. And it turns into a hard rock. It's not just powder anymore. It crystallizes into a rock that is fully, completely, and totally pure. And, instead of like crushing that up and taking it as a powder, you are using that as, you are smoking it, or some people inject it. I knew a guy who used to inject it long ago. He used to mix it with vinegar to get rid of the baking soda. And then he would put an opiate in there with it, like heroin. He'd mix them both together and then he'd inject them. It's called chasing the dragon. There's another layer, another level of addict that people don't even know about. Not just injecting in your hand or your arm or whatever, but right into your jugular vein. That's what that dude did. He did not care if he lived or died, honestly. That guy didn't. He was a mess. But anyway, yeah. Jesus Christ, his name was Chris. Not good. Speedball, yes, that's it. Speedball, that's what he used to do.
No, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. I was like, well, he's actually very educated on this. And
dude, I actually saw that guy use Mountain Dew as the base one time to inject. Seriously. I didn't interact with him very often. Every now and then we'd cross paths because I knew him or whatever, and he knew somebody I knew. But holy shit, bro. That guy was just a mess. I assume he's deceased now. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't know. He's probably either dead or in jail. Almost certainly. That's how these things play out. When you get into this stuff, you keep escalating and escalating and escalating. If you stagnate, if you don't get more intense and extreme, if you don't add more to what you're taking, then you realize you just get depressed and tired and sick of it. So either you end up dead or in jail because you've escalated yourself literally to death, or you quit. That's almost always how it goes. So, yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say he's probably dead or in jail. Yeah, I meant Speedball specifically.
No, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. I was like, well, he's actually very educated on this. And
well, it's important to me to make the distinction that there's this idea that that there's this kind of a secret kind of special enhancement to powder cocaine that makes it into crack, and you have to have some technical degree in order to be able to do that. And
Yeah, it's super easy, super straightforward. Anybody can do it, is what makes it so dangerous, of course. It's very simple to make, and it's destructive as it gets. There's something about Coke that is very, very addictive. It's not even physically addictive necessarily. It's just in your head. It's there. It sits there, speaks to you 24/7. It always pops in your head like it, I don't know. There's just something very odd about the way that Coke pushes you to do more. And having it in a fully condensed, purified, chemically altered form like crack is so much worse than that. I mean, crack is not physically addictive, as far as I am aware. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody in the comments. But the mental side of it is something that you'll never experience again, or in any form in your life. It's so intensely addictive mentally. It's inexplicable. It's not possible to describe how mentally addictive this shit is. I've never done crack before. I'm just trying to communicate what I know about it.
let's start all the way at the beginning. I think that I'm genetically predisposed to be an alcoholic. I do believe that there is a genetic piece of it.
I don't think that's a belief thing. I think that's just a fact thing. That's true. There is a genetic piece to it. Yes.
I do believe that my brain works differently as an addict in terms of the way in which my synapses fire once they're introduced to the dopamine hit and the serotonin increase that occurs because of an introduction of a substance. I believe that that I became acclimated and physiologically dependent upon that when I started to drink in earnest when I was in college, in which you can control. And I made it through Georgetown, and I went to Jesuit Volunteer Corps for a year, and it's kind of like domestic peace. Well, the
Yeah.
JBC. I was JBC for a year after college, and then I went to Yale Law School. Was married, had my oldest daughter.
Crack and Coke literally the same thing. It's just baking soda allows you to smoke it. I think it chemically changes it a little bit when the baking soda. You know what? Let me find out. I may be wrong that it chemically changes it, but smoking it makes it hit your lungs instantly. It makes the effect instant. Hang on. Like I said, it's just a purified form, fully purified with baking soda. Yeah, here we go. So, powder Coke is cocaine hydrochloride. The Coke molecule bonded with hydrochloric acid to form a salt. That salt is a water soluble, which is why it can be dissolved and snorted or injected. Crack is the freebase form, the same Coke molecule with the hydrochloride stripped away, leaving the base. So at the level of the active compound that acts on your brain, it's the identical molecule doing the identical thing, blocking dopamine reuptake. The chemical difference is the salt versus base distinction. And it matters for how the drug can be taken. Hydrochloride salt has a high melting point and decomposes before it vaporizes. Interesting. So it's just fully purified. Okay. I thought it was it is a different chemical structure. I just thought it acted slightly different on the brain. Interesting. Well, there you go. Now you know.
when I was a first year law student.
You know, I actually knew people, again, as somebody that I knew from high school and who I saw at a friend's house, who used to have foil, and she would put a powder on the foil and she would take a little straw and heat the stuff under it and breathe in the smoke that came off, just like tin foil or whatever, you know. So you can smoke it that way as well, just Coke, regular old Coke, I believe. But yeah. Foil is not meth. Foil is everything, brother, okay? She also did it with OxyContin and heroin and all kinds of stuff. I promise I also have experience with this stuff. Anyway, let's continue.
And then I went to Yale Law School, you know, was married, had my oldest daughter when I was a first year law student, made it through all of that and made it through my first years of employment.
Wait, when was Hunter Biden, when did he go through law school? Let me see if I can find info. Was he still on drugs? Oh, he graduated from Yale Law School. Wow, I did not know that. In 1996. Damn. Okay.
Probably more than everybody, than most people do, but completely functional. And one day I woke up when I was 33 years old to my brother calling me and say, "This has got to stop. Like, you got to stop."
Beau Biden, he died, right?
And what he meant is that, you know, like a whole weekend was missing, kind of. And I said, okay. And he drove.
You can't smoke oxys. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I've watched people do it. They put it on foil and they would heat it under the foil and they would take a straw and they would move it around to inhale the smoke and they would draw a little picture of a house with the black trail that the oxy made. I don't know what you're talking about. I promise you don't know as much about this as you think you do. I'm arguing about drugs with somebody in the comments here.
And I said, okay. And he drove me to the airport and he put me on a plane in New York, and I flew to a place that was started by Eric Clapton called Crossroads in Antigua. And I went to rehab, and I came out, and I went directly when I came out. My brother picked me up from the airport, drove me to an AA meeting, walked in with me.
Uh-oh, I think YouTube froze on me. I think I'm still streaming, but like my whole browser just froze. Damn, okay, it's back. That was bizarre.
Circle in DC. I met my sponsor at that first meeting that I ever went to. And I stayed clean and sober for about 7 years. And then I relapsed. And it was just such a mundane, stupid story. I was on a plane by myself. Everything was okay. Things were looking up. It was, normal life pressures, but it was all good. And that's the real insidious thing about addiction and alcoholism. It never goes away necessarily. There's always the answer that is being presented to you by the thing that you trust the most, which is your brain. And what it says is, if you don't want to feel this way, whatever the way is, or if you want to feel this way even more, I have the answer for you. And I was on a plane by myself and I had a drink. And that drink in 2010, 7 years almost of sobriety, started a cycle of relapse and recovery and relapse and recovery, in which it was really hard for me to be honest with the people that love me, because I just wanted to hide it. I just wanted it to go away. And I thought, okay, I'll get through this cycle and, I'll sleep it off this weekend, and that's it. I'm done. And that would last a week.
Yeah, that's easy to do.
And then it would last 3 months. And then I went back to rehab. And then it became then I came back and I started, I mean, talk about, you talk about this all the time, which I love that you do. It was big pharma. You know what I mean? I had shingles. And so somebody prescribed me like 52 oxycodone, like, I mean, ridiculous. And I started that. And then I started.
Yeah, absolutely. Big Pharma is actually responsible for the opioid crisis. I'm not sure when he started taking opiates or whatever, but they got in so much shit that I believe they've been ordered to shut down. The company Purdue, was it Purdue, who was basically going to doctors' offices and weaseling the doctors into prescribing more OxyContin. They basically started the opioid epidemic intentionally to raise their stock price. There was a court case where they got emails like between Purdue, maybe Johnson & Johnson was involved, executives that were basically calling them pillbillies, people in West Virginia who were hooked on OxyContin, pillbillies. And they were ordered to shut down very recently, like last year, I think, for all of the fucked up stuff that they did. They did that whole opioid crisis thing intentionally. That was like manufactured by the shitheads at this pharmaceutical company. Anyway, yeah, I hope that they suffer greatly. I hope they face consequences. I can't believe they're not facing fucking jail time for what they did, honestly.
Drinking again, and the prescription ran out, and then this cycle just started to happen. And but when my brother died, it all fell apart. Bo and I were, and like I don't purport that our relationship was unique, or that his loss was greater than my loss of him was greater than anybody else's loss of their brother or someone that they deeply loved. But when my mom and sister and my Bo and I were in that car accident in 1972,
right, because Joe Biden's wife died in this car accident. I totally forgot. Damn. This Bo and Hunter were the only survivors of this car crash, I believe, in 1972. Joe Biden lost everything. He was a widow, or a widower, or whatever the hell you call it. And then he lost Bo, who served in the military. He lost him to cancer because of his stay in the military, if I'm not mistaken. Like, dude, Joe Biden just could not catch a break, could he? This guy's whole fucking life was lined with tragedy from day one.
And we survived. It was the two of us every day. We're a year and a day apart. We talked every day. I mean, except when he was in Iraq, I literally probably talked to my brother every day. And when Bo died, my marriage fell apart after 22 years. By the way, for reasons that marriages fall apart, you know, and but I take a lot of responsibility for.
There doesn't have to be any responsibility, in my opinion. This is a very Catholic viewpoint, which we know Hunter Biden is very Catholic, right? I don't think that getting a divorce is a bad thing necessarily. I think that, like, you should split up if things are fucking miserable. If you're unhappy, you should split up, right? Why wouldn't you, like, be happy? Being in a marriage, even with a kid, and being unhappy, that's worse for the kid. If you're unhappy, just move on with your life, you know? I don't think you need to be in a miserable marriage.
And it just started a really, really dark cycle. In the past, when when I would have these relapses, there was always someone in such proximity to me that they would like, I couldn't escape. I couldn't escape. In this instance, Bo was gone. Right after Bo died, I ended up separated from my wife like within the month. And my dad, for the first time in my life, who was my rock, was stuck in his own grief, like deep, deep grief.
Mm.
And
He brought up his dad. He wasn't supposed to do that.
I just went down into a hole. And
do you have kids? Yes. I am an addict, or ex-addict, used to be. I was on Oxy, then I was on heroin. I've been around a lot of crack and meth and everything. I've taken a lot of acid, smoked a lot of weed many years ago. I haven't done any of that stuff in probably 10 or 15 years. Not a 12-stepper. I think the 12-step program is toxic garbage. It's one of my most famous videos of all time on the 12-step program. Anyway, and yeah, I had a kid at 18 years old, and now she is 18, and I am 36. So there you go. There's my life story in a nutshell. And now I'm married, and I have another kid that will be here literally any 5 minutes.
I checked myself into a rehab that year and came out and stayed sober for a while and then relapsed and then went into an outpatient program in DC where I went 4 hours every day for, from 8 to 2 or 6 hours every day, stay sober. And then I relapsed and I came back and they said, well, you have to, I admitted to them that I relapsed. And in this instance, I also used cocaine. And they said, well, you have to take a drug test. And I said, I'm not going to take a drug test. I'm not going to put something on, it's because it's not protected by HIPAA in a rehab scenario.
Really? It's not? It's not protected by HIPAA in a rehab scenario? That is very interesting.
Which is crazy, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, they said, you can't come back in unless you take the drug test. And I said, well, I'm not taking the drug test. I'm going through a divorce. It's not protected by HIPAA. It will become public. I don't want to do this to my family. I'm telling you, I used cocaine and I drank. Is that not good enough? Come back. And they said no, for whatever reason, and I'm not blaming them. This is not their fault. I walked out and I knew Lincoln Park was a kind of open air drug market. I saw a woman that was kind of famous in the area since I had been in college, literally for 20 years, that I would see in the streets around, DC in that area where I worked for a long time.
I've never actually seen an open air drug market. I mean, I know that there are people who kind of sell things and you'd have to know that they sell things, but they don't have it laid out on a table or whatever. They're just people who hang around there. They're like open air drug markets are super risky, right? Because if you go to the wrong person or do the wrong thing or whatever, then you go to prison. That's bad. You don't want that.
And I went up to her and I said, can I get some crack?
Wow.
And I think it was basically, I said, can you help me commit suicide? I mean, I don't think, I know that now in looking back, it was the coward's way. And I really mean that.
It's not a cowardly way, okay? I'm sorry. This is another thing that bothers me. This is part of the guilt and shame shit. Look, this happens to people and it is genetic. It's a challenge. It's a problem. You got to fight hard against this shit. Oftentimes for the rest of your fucking life. You don't need to call yourself a coward, okay? You need to fight against the pull. That's what you have to do.
Coward. I didn't go and just do it. I said, let me do it this way and really, really, really drag everybody down with me along the way. let me figure out the way not only to kill myself, but to maybe kill my dad, you know, really hurt my family, um, particularly my 3 daughters who, like, adore me and I adore, like, just the fact. And I smoke crack. And the difference between crack cocaine and powder cocaine is this, and I really truly do not want to give a roadmap for people to be able to, do this because I swear to God, it'll kill you.
It will. It's super easy to figure out, though, honestly. But, like, why the fuck would you even do it? You don't want to do that shit. It's just super ultra purified. Like, if you just do more coke, then you're getting the same effect anyway. And you're not producing anything that's not there. It's just changing the method of consumption, I suppose one could say.
But it's sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, water, heat. That's it. That's all. That is the entire difference of it, which allows it to be ingested through a smoking. And the combination of those things makes it so that it affects your physiology much faster than it would be if you just use powder cocaine through your nose or in any other form of.
And it's like instantaneous. And I mean, it goes away instantly as well. It's like this, super fast rush, and then it just kind of disappears. And that's it. That's the end of the story. It's kind of a waste, honestly.
Other than intravenously. And it also allows you to ingest more faster than you could possibly ever ingest by sniffing cocaine up your nose. The combination of that, the combination of combustion, ritual, and the ritual meaning the way in which you have to, I can still feel my hands doing it,
Mm-hmm.
is, becomes this ritualistic thing with the combination of combustion, which is, and you learn, if you really study things about addiction, is these kind of key components of oral fixation and things like that. It just becomes.
You probably shouldn't have said that in front of Candace Owens' audience. Now they're going to think that you're imagining whistling the skin flute constantly when you do crack.
The most ungodly addiction that you can possibly imagine, to the point where I was smoking crack. Literally, I was either looking for or smoking or recovering, not even recovering. You don't recover. You just go find more for close to a 2-year period of time.
Wow.
And it took me to places, I wrote all about it.
Yeah, it was only 2 years for him, though. Really think about that. How old is this dude? He's got to be 50, right? He went to Yale Law School in 1996. He worked prestigious jobs and things like that. And it was only 2 years of his life, but it was one of the most consequential 2 years of his life. Because it affects you that deeply. Not good.
And I got made fun of about it. And, people think that, when I wrote my book, like, clawing through the carpet to find crack cocaine and, Parmesan cheese and I know it's a real laugh line, but anybody that's ever been an addict like that, they don't laugh about it. It's devastating.
Absolutely. 100%.
Think that you were that person.
Mm.
You can see yourself doing it. Just devastating. And so what happens in addiction so often is people not only, they can't admit that. They can't even admit it to themselves. They just block it out. They go, they get 30 days clean. They come out, they go back into the same exact situation that they were in before. And they think, I'm just not going to do it again. I'm just going to stay, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And what will come up is that they'll wake up in the morning and they'll remember that time in the motel with the person, the prostitute that brought you the drugs, and that just stole your wallet and all your and all your drugs and everything, and you had to you were clawing through carpet to see if there was anything there, and you smoke whatever white that you found on the ground. Like, it's the shame
Mm.
is thinking of yourself like that, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you came from, whether your dad's the president of the United States or it doesn't matter. And they don't admit that to themselves. They don't admit it to anyone around them. Don't ever say it. And you know what happens? They never lose it. And it sits like right here, like in the back of your head, and it pops up. And you just feel so disgusted with yourself that your brain immediately tells you, regardless of how far away you are from a drink or a drug, like, I know the way not to feel this way.
Totally. Totally. I absolutely understand.
I know exactly how to feel this way. You're going to die if you keep feeling this way. You need to take a drink.
Mm.
And that's always how it starts. I mean, alcohol is the most dangerous drug in the world, just by virtue of the amount of destruction and
maybe the amount of raw deaths, because people don't usually take heroin, right? That's very uncommon. It's a certain, or like fentanyl, it's a subset of the population that's going to do that, but alcohol is normal.
And devastation that is that comes personally into the people around people that are alcoholics. And I don't find any difference between being an addict and an alcoholic. And
Absolutely.
but that's where it starts, and that's where it started for me. That's my story until I met Melissa and got clean and sober, and I've been so almost 7 years now.
All right, you guys.
Wow, that was interesting. Actually, damn, I did not expect to walk into this one. Tell me what you think about that in the comments. That's fascinating. We're actually going to keep watching. I just wanted to put a transition there. That's probably where a transition should go, I figure. Been about 52 minutes, yeah. Let me jump forward. Don't need her ridiculous ads. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow, really? All right. Candace Owens interviewed Hunter Biden. It was a wild interview. I want to give this a listen. Check this out.
Through this, and you don't get to decide what your father does for a living. And I think that's probably why people separate it as well too, because like I said, there's this idea of what a politician's family is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you obviously are, because I genuinely understand what those
Caveman for real is asking if this is if this new Zelda game is tight. It's pretty good. It's Tears of the Kingdom. It's a pretty good game, yes. On YouTube, just checking through. He's 56 and a disbarred attorney. Really? Is he disbarred? In DC and Connecticut. Interesting. People say drugs and alcohol when it's just drugs. Yeah, alcohol, of course, is a drug. No idea this Bizarro Land interview is even happening. Yes, oh my God. Candace Owens supporting Hunter Biden. That's wild, right? Clashing of worlds here.
those sorts of addictions do. I don't think people realize you're just not even yourself. Like it's like a demon, as the best way to say it. And maybe I'm taking a Catholic take on this, but like it's like a full demonic possession when you're in the throes of these drugs. And I mean, this was actually a great benefit of A&E doing intervention, because people could really see these moments where people will choose the drug over their family. They will choose the drug over their kids. They will choose, they'll choose the drug over literally anything.
Do you know that God works on the same part of the brain as drugs do? When you have a religious experience, when you're in a church, feeling, everybody around you celebrating and all of that other shit, that is working on you in the exact same way that a drug works on you. And on top of that, the cult mentality becomes part of your identity in the same way that being an addict becomes part of your identity. It's all the same. People will give up family to be Trump supporters. They will be, that's... It all works on the brain in the same way.
And for people who, and I actually tend to agree with you that I've wondered myself if there's something genetic because I'm not wired that way.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just haven't found the drug that would do that to me. But like, I would say that like,
God. I mean, assuming she believes in God. Are we sure that she does? I'm not completely convinced. I mean, she's a scam artist who's looking for any opportunity to, lie and take advantage of people. So I'm not convinced that she's a God believer. Maybe.
I've just never been, um,
Yeah.
Why would anyone quit being family with a Trump supporter? No, I mean, the Trump supporter doesn't want to be part of their family anymore because their family is on the left, liberal, leftist, blah, 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 blah. People leave Trump supporter family behind because they can't deal with the cult personality anymore. It's too much. Trump supporters, I'm sorry to say, they're in a cult. That's just what it is. And Trump supporters are always complaining about not being able to talk to their family because they're too left and so on and so forth.
never had something and was like, oh, I just need to have that again or want it again.
Yeah.
And I've seen friends that they have something once and they're like, want to do this every second. And I go, that's very interesting. Like, it's almost like you're
You voted for Trump? Are you kidding me with this? Holy shit, bro. Oh, God, we got a Trump supporter in the house. Caveman for real is a Trump supporter. Damn. Well, I assume you don't know who I am then. I'm a YouTuber with 400,000 subbies on YouTube on my main channel, 160,000 on my Fireside channel, and 60,000 on this channel on YouTube, I think. Yeah, I think it's around 60,000. And I am very involved in cults and understanding. You know who I am? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I just didn't understand why a Trump supporter would be. Okay, cool. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I hope you stick around and we continue to, yeah. Dude voted for Trump 3 times. Okay.
Oh, I totally
made up something different.
I'm certain of that, and the science is certain of that in many ways. I mean, we all can. I think that we all can associate with, understand addiction at more or less devastating levels. So, for instance, what is your phone? I mean,
Oh,
you have you basically have a packet of heroin.
right.
We all do in our pocket.
Oh, okay. Come on. It's not the same as heroin. I got to give you this though. It is addictive, social media. Not the same as heroin.
Yeah.
Constantly giving us that dopamine, which, by the way, we can get to talking about that because I think that we are not nearly as divided as people as we think that we are. I think that bag of heroin in everybody's pocket is feeding them a lot of that division. But
Absolutely, yes.
So we can all kind of understand the compulsion to do things that aren't that clearly aren't benefiting us, like staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning and going through your For You page on TikTok. Every mother, father can watch their teenager do that and go, God, this is awful, and I'm going to take his phone away. And then they turn back to their phone and they start going through their phone. Like, I'm,
I think that it is addictive. Yes, I think that the phone is addictive. Not like heroin. Don't say that. That's not the same thing at all. Trust me. But it is addictive. And I think it's advisable that you keep your kid off of social media for a while. Like, when they're young, they don't know how to regulate that shit. Nobody knows how to regulate that dopamine hit you get when you scroll through social media. I can justify doing it myself because it's for my job. It's for work. I have to find stories to cover and things like that. But, yeah, it's not good. I don't even use TikTok. I don't use YouTube Shorts. The Shorts algorithm is a problem. a real problem.
No, I am not any better. So we can kind of all understand that compulsion. It's when the compulsion becomes just so the blast radius continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between being a addicted to your phone and being addicted to crack cocaine, I'm not saying are the same, but at least
It sounded like that's what you just said, but they're not, of course. They're similar in that they both act on the reward center of the brain, but they're not the same.
we can kind of get a little bit of an understanding of the physiology of that, of the way in which the brain actually works.
Yeah, I don't think that social media is really safe. I mean, certainly not the shorts algorithm is safe for children under a certain age. I don't think it's safe for them.
But
It's like the micro versus the macro. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And everybody has the micro.
But so you can see the micro impact of it. But I think that one of the reasons that why people are so like shocked by my story, and by the way, and we're able to conflate. So if the New York Post every day for 6 years runs a picture on online. I mean, I think they literally at one point did like 1.5 stories of me a day for an entire 18-month period. Okay. And in each, it didn't matter what the subject was. It was a picture of me naked
With the prostitute.
with whatever, and with a crack pipe in my lips. So what, so I don't get mad at people when they go, like, was that your cocaine? Like, well, number one, the White House. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. I had 7 Secret Service agents with me at any given time, everywhere I went. The idea that I was in the Situation Room and would decide to drop off
Yeah.
I mean, but beyond that silliness is is I don't blame people for not realizing that I have worked my effing ass off. I mean, in this environment, the proudest thing that I've ever done is stay clean and sober through all of that, every piece of it.
I can see that. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I would have gone with your kids. Can't believe you didn't say that about your children, but okay. I'm going to wait for a minute to say this, but Caveman for Real complaining about ads on Twitch. I don't know. Like, you can just move over to YouTube if you want. I think there are ads on YouTube as well. But at least they have like skippable ads on YouTube and stuff. Okay, there you go. Anyway, okay, let's continue.
Both the trials, through the accusations, through the, Alexander Smirnoffs and Gallups and Konstantin Kuliks and Lev Parnases and Rudy's and Steve Bannon's and all of that.
Just all the people talking shit about his addiction, I assume is what he's saying. Yeah. These people are ruthless. The ones he just named, they don't care. They do not care about the fact that you are struggling with literally anything. They want to see you go down hard. I would be surprised if Steve Bannon's goal wasn't to get Hunter Biden to commit suicide, in all seriousness. I appreciate that I have people on Twitch. I'm glad that the Twitch people are here, so yeah. Welcome, Nerico. No baby yet.
Is it?
I like staying in the TOS here till I get banned, then I move to YouTube. Okay, whatever. I mean, whatever floats your boat.
Purely because of the love of the people around me and my...
Wow, Nerico reached a 25 stream watch streak. That is nuts. Congratulations.
Purely because of the love of the people around me and my willingness to own it all. I'm sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're not taking that away from me.
Right.
No, and by the way, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
The realization at one point is that you can try. I have no fear. No fear. And that doesn't, and that's why I'm here more than anything, is because
Well, honestly, like this is an insane situation that he went through. Absolutely. But a lot of people go through addiction. So I guess the other part of that is being targeted by the media. That sucks. I'm sorry he had to deal with that. But it's easy to have no fear when you're fucking filthy rich. When you can afford to hire bodyguards to be around you 24/7, Secret Service 24/7. You don't even need to hire the bodyguards because Secret Service will do it, right? So anyway, there's that. It's easy to be fearless when there are people that you don't worry about literally anything in life. So
like, I probably, I'm certain that we disagree on a lot of stuff, but there used to be a time, Candace, where you and I could sit down together and disagree about tax policy
Mm-hmm.
and disagree about, the Catholic Church's view on abortion, or disagree with, whatever the subject may be, and still be able to go have a meal together.
Right. I talk about that often on my show. Like back when I was left leaning in college, my best friend was Republican conservative. Like it wasn't so at each other's throats. And
I don't believe she was ever left leaning, please. People who are like full-blown MAGA extremist nutcases, especially the political influencers that were never, quote unquote, left leaning. Come on.
hating each other and wanting to destroy one another. And, you could kind of see the good and the bad and go, well, this is why I have this perspective, and perspectives could change. And that was allowed too. I think about what it was that, just revisiting what made a lot of people, including myself, so angry about you. Or I guess it wasn't really about you. It was
all fabricated garbage. Hunter Biden really is not that bad, honestly.
the gaslighting. It was the letter that came from people saying it was Russian propaganda.
It absolutely fucking was, okay? It was the, I think something like 40 FBI officials came out and said that this has the footprints of Russian propaganda. I refuse to accept it. And until Hunter Biden tells us directly it was my laptop and I dropped it off, I'm not going to believe this. Until I get some hard evidence. I need hard evidence. So far, I haven't seen a damn thing to imply that it was genuinely his laptop. I mean, it was too perfect.
That is what is driving us crazy about the Epstein files right now. It's what's actually leading, ironically, to the collapse of the MAGA support, is we don't want to be gaslit.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it wasn't you. That's why it was so refreshing when you were like, yes, I had a crack addiction. This is me. I did this. I was with hookers.
Yeah.
But you weren't speaking for you. And there were literally a bunch of people that were coming out and saying, this is not real.
Yeah.
And that is...
I just don't believe it was. If he comes out and says it's real right now, I'll accept that. But I need something, anything at all, to believe that it was actually his laptop and that it wasn't like a hack by Russia, because that's the exact type of shit that Russia was doing around that time. They were hacking into people. They did it to Anthony Podesta as well, a spear phishing attack. And they released like all of these emails between him and Hillary Clinton. 30,000 emails. Where did they all go? We have the emails. Like, there was nothing weird about any of the emails. They were just emails. And QAnon turned Hillary's 30,000 emails into, this big conspiracy where Hillary was taking advantage of children and shit. It was insane. Hang on, let's see. Give me a second. I'm just looking something up here. I'm finding out about the laptop. I'm trying to find out if this was okay, at Hunter's June 2024 federal gun trial, FBI agent Erica Jensen testified it was the device left at the Wilmington repair shop, confirming the serial number on the back matched the serial number Apple provided in response to a subpoena. Prosecutors who also said they cross-referenced the emails, texts. I don't have a problem believing that the texts and the messages and everything were all authentic. That wasn't my issue. He spent years claiming the contents were hacked, stolen, manipulated, or fabricated, and even sued the repair shop owner. I'm just looking here. I'm sorry. Right. An open letter signed by 50 plus former intelligence officials saying the story had earmarks of a Russian operation. I'm not actually sure still. As far as a verifiable record goes, actually, maybe it was his. Interesting. Okay, maybe it was. It's just hard to know for sure, but I'm not sure that he's admitted it. We'll see what he says here.
The most infuriating thing because everyone's average. Everyone can connect with addiction. Everyone could have this conversation. Actually, if you would come out and I probably in that environment, obviously, maybe there would have been a different result because we were at each other's throats.
No, exactly.
But that is what made people so angry.
Yeah.
It was like, nope, he never smoked crack. It wasn't real.
Yeah.
The laptop is
No, I mean, I know he smoked crack. And I'm sure those pictures were real. I'm sure all that shit was real.
Russian propaganda. Like, guys, what is this?
Well, Russia most definitely was manipulating shit at the time, right? 100%.
Yeah, by the way, here's the problem, is that Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani saved the quote-unquote laptop, which, by the way, is bullshit. Like, if we can agree on that gaslighting, I will agree on the gaslighting of this, is that it was never a quote-unquote laptop. There was a hard drive of stolen and hacked material, wherever it came from, whether it came from a Delaware repair shop or whether it came, like Lev says, from Dmitry Firtash, who was trying to sell a hard drive.
Right. Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon claimed to have a hard drive, and said that they had like a clone of the drive or whatever, but they never released the drive. We never got to see any of that shit. The only shit that we saw could have plausibly been retrieved from hacked material.
Biden's in Ukraine, that they were looking for before the laptop repair shop guy was ever the twinkle in the eye. Just go back and look at the record. Okay. So here's the thing, is you're absolutely right. And and this is like the freedom of being able to say this. It's like, yeah, they should have let me go out and talk.
Yeah.
But it was 2 weeks before the campaign. And then and then the election was over. Steve Bannon, it goes on and with his buddy Gao, the Chinese billionaire that's now in prison, and that is like a Chinese spy or whatever, where he got arrested on his boat and all that crap. There is go listen to it. Go listen to the recorded conversation in which they say, like, the laptop, like, we got him. We so we we collected all the salacious pictures and we put them out there. And then Rudy went out and stood on the steps of the Newcastle County Courthouse with Bernie Carrick and said, this contains child exploitation, like pure, pure bullshit, just bullshit. So on both sides, you have this reaction which I don't think was necessarily a coordinated reaction in the sense that, what do you do in 2 weeks? And so they come up with this and they say, and I don't get to go out and say, no, I was. But you know what I did? Is that come April, I write a book and I tell everybody I was addicted to crack. And here's my story. And here's what happened. And here is all of the rooms that no one would ever want to admit to being in that I was in. And it was like a blip on the radar, because everybody was now fighting about whether there was kind of a suppressed story on Twitter and whether there was this gaslighting from, and by the way, I am not here to defend any of
But
those
then it's
people.
part of like the political machine where they're like, we have 2 weeks to go to the election.
Yeah.
We're going to do this denial,
Yeah.
because we can't afford this right now, essentially.
Yeah.
And then we're going to table this, make it past these 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
And then by that time, first and foremost,
by
your
the way,
father
yeah.
won,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I'm having a really hard time finding trustworthy information on this, honestly.
and so people are angry. They feel like the election's been stolen and that there was this entire collusion to cover a laptop, which if it was on the other side, they may have done too. This is what DC is. It's politics. But that is where I think the anger came from.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
I get it.
how dare you gaslight us?
Yeah.
And then people then start making you this focal point
Yeah.
of
And it
like,
never had anything to do with me.
right. It was
And,
kind of bigger than you at that point,
You know what the laptop proved?
that you were a crackhead.
There you go.
That you
By
were
the way,
deep in the
all
throes of
this
crack
other,
addiction.
all this other bullshit, bribery and all these other things that they investigated up and down during the Trump administration with a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, with the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, the only U.S. attorney in the country to stay on and continue to prosecute me.
I'm trying to dig this up. I want to know, was this real or was this fabricated? I want real information. I'm looking for primary sources here, like the trial transcript or something. Did the trial use the laptop as evidence, and did they verify the serial number? Because the only places I can find this from are the Washington Times, which is not the Washington Post, which is not the New York Times. The Washington Times is this far-right extremist fucking nutcase website. And I found another one. What was it? It was like the National Review. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time finding trustworthy information here. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time here. Yeah, there's no authentication. There is no evidence that this was real, aside from supposedly the trial referenced the laptop. And supposedly the FBI agent in the trial physically held the laptop, assuming that was real. The special counsel's pretrial filing says the laptop is real, and FBI testimony matched the serial number to Apple's records with iCloud corroboration. Supposedly. Let's keep listening here, and I'll see if I can find more info on whether this was real. I'm treating this like a research project.
Who then became special counsel after I got a plea deal, because I paid my taxes late, and I paid them with penalties and interest, and I owned a gun for 11 days while they say I was addicted and check that box. That's it. Everybody has all the information. It's not like the Department of Justice has my digital footprint in every text message, every email. And there's not a single one in which you find that would in any way supports the really serious accusations of enriching my father, enriching himself somehow, or none of it. None of it's there. So I own whatever you want to call it. I own the laptop. Come, you know what? We can go through it together.
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to like avert your eyes to the tragedy
Mm-hmm.
of addiction. I mean, just the absolute tragedy of it.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, there is no space for that in discourse anymore. There's no space for the nuance of, well, that was addiction. That wasn't corruption. You know, I did not do any business through entire 4 years. I became a painter. You know why I became a painter? Because it literally saved my life. I painted my whole life. And Melissa instinctively knew that I literally needed to like occupy my hands in early recovery, like 12 hours a day. Like just, like to be able to focus on not the crushing weight of the consequences of years of addiction. And so I just sat and I painted and I painted and I painted. And I decided to have a show in the gallery and, and offer my paintings for sale. And the New York Post comes out and says, Hunter Biden's selling his paintings for $500,000. I've never sold a painting nor offered a painting for $500,000 in my free.
Yeah, the media definitely harasses the shit out of this dude, truthfully. That's absolutely true. Okay. All right, I'm tracing this down. Let me tell you what I did. I wrote this book called God's People. It's releasing in a couple of weeks. Check it out if you are interested. It's basically 11 biographical essays about people in World War II era Germany and elsewhere who helped Hitler take over the church or whatever. I cover the guy who wrote the poem, First They Came for the Communists, and I said nothing because I wasn't a communist, so on and so forth. I cover him. I cover Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I cover Father Kuhn, the guy who famously said, in the name of Christ, fire, as people rose their guns to Jews in Hungary or whatever. Yeah, I did an insane amount of research for all of this, and I'm treating this like a research project right now. I want to understand what the hell this is about, what's going on. I found this exhibit list from the U.S. District Court, District of Delaware. This is the U.S. of America v. Robert Hunter Biden. Wow, his name is Robert and he goes by Hunter? Okay. Criminal action number 2361 MN trial exhibits. This is a list of the trial exhibits. And let's see. I'm doing like a full rundown here. Was the laptop actually an exhibit in his trial? The amount of research I did for the Father Kuhn chapter alone is fucking astronomical. Like, it would blow you away how much research I did on that. Let's see. That in the name of Christ fire thing, by the way, that never happened. That's not real. He never said that, but that's neither here nor there. He was still a murdering monster. Let's see. This is all in case 123-CR-00061, Delaware. Jensen's direct testimony, where she's handed the physical device and walks through the serial number to Apple Match, is in the trial transcript for June 4th, 2024. And there's a filing where Weiss wrote that the laptop is real and would be introduced as a trial exhibit. That's the prosecution's sworn representation to the court, filed around May 22nd. It's an ECF entry on that docket, apparently. The GTX number is... What's the GTX number for this? 20 series. It's the 20 series. So is it this?
Chapter 11. Saved.
The hell is this?
By the time my plane touched down in Los Angeles in March 2019, I had no plan beyond the moment-to-moment demands of the crack pipe.
Oh, is this just him talking? What's this? 20K? Oh, this is his book. I see. Okay. Right. So they included this as his book. Got it.
Prologue. Where's Hunter?
Interesting. He read the book himself, too. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure this out. I'd like to know if this laptop was actually real. Yeah, no, I can't actually find this. So these are digital items, not... Right. Okay. Actually, I'm not finding this. I'm not finding the laptop in the... Hang on. Okay, actual primary document. I think I might have found an authoritative court document that lists the laptop as an evidence item in the 2024 trial against Hunter Biden. Against Hunter Biden. I have no problem believing that the shit on the laptop was his. That could have come from a Russian hack, easily. But I want to know if he physically had the laptop and walked it into the repair place and gave it to the guy. If he actually used that laptop, or if Russia hacked him, which we know they hacked a bunch of people, including Hillary Clinton, and put all this shit on a laptop to look like his, or what? GTX 16 supposedly is the right number. GTX 16. Let's see. These are... Wait. Right. It's not in this list because this isn't a digital asset. I, Marla Mason, certify I'm Assistant Chief Federal Firearms Licensing Center, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, blah, blah, blah. Oops. Didn't mean to close that. And what's GTX 18? I don't think that this is verifiable, that a laptop even exists physically. I have no evidence that a laptop physically exists currently. GTX 16, not on this evidence list. Apple laptop, model, blah, blah, blah. Serial number, blah, blah, blah. Offered 6'4", marked yes, admitted yes, witness Erica Jensen. Supposedly. This is on Court Listener. This is the evidence list for his trial. GTX 16, right here. Apple laptop, model A1708, serial number, blah, blah, blah. Erica Jansen. Maybe the laptop was real. This is what I wanted right here. But again, like, this very easily could have been loaded up with his shit. I don't know. I'm still very suspicious. It definitely looked like Russian propaganda. But I think that seeing the original court document with the evidence list showing a laptop on it, assuming that was the laptop, would be pretty definitive. I mean, the FBI very easily could have just, commandeered his laptop during a search or whatever, unrelated to the blind repairman.
Friggin' life. And by the way, everybody knows this because every painting that I sold, everybody that bought a painting had to pay about.
Listen, caveman, for real. This is part of my process. I know I'm asking a lot of questions, like, was this the same laptop from the repairman and all this shit? This is how I trace down historical information to verify if it's real. This is what I do when I write an academic paper about World War II or whatever. I want to rule out every single possibility, everything. And if I can't rule it out, I sit there and I write a list of things that have not been ruled out at the end of the day. And I look at the list and I think to myself, what's most plausible? What's the most likely scenario? Maybe it is his laptop. Maybe he gave it to the blind repairman. Who knows? Maybe. But I need to rule out all kinds of shit before I come to that conclusion. This is just how I work. This is just my process. I want to know if this is true. This laptop, GTX 16, is an authentic Apple laptop tied to Hunter's account. But there is currently no proof that this is the laptop given to them by the by the repair guy. There's no evidence, as far as I can tell, that this is the same laptop. There's no chain of custody to prove that this was the laptop given to them by the blind repairman.
About $250,000 to defend themselves before an impeachment hearing. Go read the transcripts of people under oath. But regardless, is the laptop absolutely proved nothing, but it became this cultural touchstone. It was like it embodied the Biden crime family.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted to be able to believe that, not wanted to be able to believe that, if you believe that because you're being told that by people that you trust that have told you that your election was stolen, that your democracy was thwarted, that the process was unfair, is that all you had to do, and I get this, is look at the pictures. It doesn't look like a good guy to me.
Right. Because
He
you
looks
weren't a
like
good
an
guy
awful
in the
guy.
pictures.
No.
Yeah. So it's
Smoking
not
crack in a
really...
motel room with a prostitute.
Right. Like, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like they come out and like they're saying, oh, like this, like I admit it all. Not only admit it all, I own it all. I will own everything, the worst of it, all of it.
And then being like, I mean, now in retrospect, and things have changed. I mean, times have changed. Like I said, I was
Okay. A little bit more on the laptop. On cross-examination, Jensen, who submitted the laptop as evidence, acknowledged she couldn't verify whether the laptop's contents were tampered with during the roughly 8 months it sat in Mac Isaac's possession before the FBI took it. And Mac Isaac himself admitted accessing the data in that window. Jensen described the laptop data as sometimes overlapping with the Apple iCloud backup. For the data that overlaps with independently subpoenaed iCloud set, For the data that overlaps the independently subpoenaed iCloud set, there is corroboration. For any laptop-only data that doesn't overlap, the independent guarantee doesn't reach. So yeah, I don't know. This is just really hard to know for sure if any of this is real. There doesn't appear to be any chain of custody on this. It very easily could have been a hack. It could have been a hack. And they create a new laptop, or they buy a laptop, they connect it to an iCloud account, they upload a bunch of shit to his iCloud or whatever, and then they give it to this blind repairman. That is a completely reasonable, very possible explanation. And we know that Russia did shit like this all the time. I'm not ruling that out as a possibility. I'm also not ruling out the possibility that he dropped it off, but I consider that far less likely. Because why the fuck would he do that? Like, that's a ridiculous thing for Hunter Biden to have done. Drop off a laptop with all this incriminating shit. Do we even know what was broken about the laptop? Why did he drop it off? What needed to be repaired?
One of the
Oops. What, like, and the chain of custody is just a complete fucking mess. And we all know crackheads ain't that smart. Bullshit. And you know that's bullshit, okay? This dude graduated from Yale Law School. I know what it's like. I have watched my wife go through law school. I know you aren't stupid if you go through law school to the end. You aren't. The repair was data recovery from a water-damaged machine, according to Mac Isaac's account on April 12th, 2019. So I'm suspicious of the claims, but okay.
I mean, now in retrospect, and things have changed. I mean, times
Like, he brought the laptop in for data recovery, but then just didn't fucking come back for it? What? Are you kidding me? Why would he bring it in for data recovery and then just not fucking come back for it? I'm super suspicious, dude.
have changed. Like I said, I was one of the chief people that was really angry about it, and it did.
Yeah.
That was the exact reason why, when I re-examine it, it was the gaslighting. It's the same reason why I'm angry with Trump over the Epstein thing. It's like I can't come back from media gaslighting. The Trump thing is worse because it came from his own mouth, the gaslighting. So it wasn't like people trying to cover it up. It was like Trump being like, "What Epstein files? Are we still talking about the Epstein files?" And so. But then things kind of changed, I think, with time also, because I was very, I would just definitely say I was close with Don Jr., traveled a lot with him through the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. We talked about it, this corruption, I can't believe they denied it, all these photos coming out. And then we get whatever this, Trump family is now. And it's like, man, I think it was a historian that wrote on X exactly how I feel, which is, I wish I could go back to the days where I thought like Hunter Biden's art was the most corrupt deal that was done in politics. And now we're going, okay, we stood behind Trump, we fought, we shared the photos of Hunter Biden to the extent that we could. And now we have their family engaged in so many corrupt deals, the meme coins, the taking advantage of people. And you go, okay, well, what we actually have is DC is corrupt. Politics is corrupt. And I think
That's not plainly on its face true. There are a lot of people in DC that are not corrupt. It's not just politicians that are corrupt. It's that Donald Trump has enabled the environment that has turned everything corrupt. He has made corruption part of the norm.
Is kind of a unifying point, not to excuse, the gaslighting of people for 2 weeks, which made people super angry. But I do think it's just a different time where people are kind of going back and examining. And I feel actually terrible realizing that you were finally clean, and then it's just this humiliation ritual over and over and over again of people putting everything out there and not realizing also your kids are facing this consequence as well.
Oh, suddenly she gives a fuck about kids, huh?
which people do not think about a lot of times when they publish stories. Like I even was reticent and didn't cover the Chrissy Nome thing because the first thing that came to my mind
Do they have kids?
was their kids. Like I'm like, these are kids that are about to go to college. Like,
Me
and
too.
so, and why are they doing this? Because she's in politics, right? And so this becomes, they don't think about the children.
Bro, Christy Nome is a complete piece of shit. Yeah, her children have their own problems, and they shouldn't be targeted, obviously. Lauren Boebert has a son who is a complete train wreck, dude. Complete train wreck. I don't cover that. I don't talk about that ever because it's not relevant. It's, Greg Locke lost his son recently to an overdose, and I'm sorry. I don't want to make fun of that. That's not easy. I don't blame any of these people for that shit. These things happen, and it's not fair to go after these children, in my opinion.
And yeah, I mean, I think now that I have
Yeah.
kids too, I think there's just like, wow, they don't sign up for what I do for podcasting. Kids don't sign up for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, number one though, kids are way more resilient than you think. They're so much tougher, and I know my girls have like got their and they
Bro, why is he doing this? It's like he's not getting a single word out. He's just stumbling around. What the hell?
my girls have like got their and they love me and
I got my girls, they love me out of that.
deeply, and I can 100% accept that love now and return it with everything that I have to offer. But you're, part of what you're describing is politics in memoriam, part of it. But something's changed, Candace. There is a meanness, a willingness to adopt some very, very un-American tactics.
Absolutely. And it's not just a meanness, it's an evilness. It's fully fucking evil how some people act nowadays. Yes, 100%.
Against our opponents because it become a zero-sum game.
Mm.
It's not just that I disagree with you. It's you need to be punished. You need to be punished for what you believe. There's this incredible show. I really want to meet them one day. I don't know if you listened to it. It's called The Necessary Conversation. Have you?
I watch that every week. I love that fucking show. The Necessary Conversation. It is so good. That's so funny that Hunter Biden mentioned them. That is awesome. They're really cool. I love them to death. It's a couple of people who basically have two MAGA parents who are out of their fucking heads. And they basically talk about the news with their parents and try to get them to, come out of it or whatever. The dad is got one foot in the grave, one on a banana peel at this immediate moment, unfortunately. Well, I mean, he's an evil human being. The dad is. Just vile, evil, disgusting fucking stuff. But the mom, I feel like she's making progress.
Listen to that. Incredible. It's a brother and a sister who are progressives. One lives in LA and one lives in Austin. Okay, something like that. And she runs a bakery. His sister. And a mom and dad. And they are ultra MAGA. And I think they were in, Missouri somewhere.
They're in Oklahoma.
Okay. And I mean, don't take their caps off. Trump literally can do no wrong. He's playing 4D chess on the Epstein thing. I know he said no war in Iran, but, he must have a reason for it, and you can't convince, literally, but they have this conversation. And they have real issues with each other. The daughter gets really mad at the dad. Dad, you were a jerk to us when we were kids. You made me, but then she has this conversation with her mom who loves animals and taught her about empathy, and they would adopt all, these animals, and they would, you find out her dad taught, or coached all of their little league games, and she was a softball player. And if a kid couldn't afford the uniform, dad would quietly go out and buy the uniform. And he's awful on this thing, by the way. Like,
Literally endorses genocide regularly. He says, kill them all. I hate black people. I hate this and that and everybody that's not white. Out of his fucking head. Yes, absolutely. Just vile, disgusting, evil shit. Again, the dad's on his last leg right now, but the mom, I feel like she's only trapped in this because the dad keeps her pumped full of nonsense pretty much 24/7. That's the impression that I get.
he's like, and like in terms of the way that he speaks and speaks to them, and he's like tough, and I don't give a shit, and drop a bomb on them, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
But it's so informative. Is that before? That's a normal family.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. Before, you and I could meet at a restaurant in Georgetown, and your husband and my wife, and we could have dinner together. And like with Tucker, I knew Tucker. You know what I mean? And
I believe that Tucker wrote a letter of recommendation Hunter wrote a letter of recommendation for Tucker's son to go to Yale Law School, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. They were close friends. All these people were, yeah.
And like you could have dinner together, and think that what Tucker was saying was crazy, and I don't agree with, and I don't agree with half the stuff. But you know what it didn't mean? It didn't mean that I thought that he should be tried for treason and executed. And that's what happened to me. And I mean that not figuratively. I mean it literally. That's what people were saying. And that's what people of real importance were saying. Those were the words that were coming out of the mouth. And I'm paraphrasing, of people like Steve Bannon and people like Rudy Giuliani, people of authority. And it changes everything. Is how can you even have a discussion, for instance? How could I go out and talk about, how could I respond? Was that cocaine mine?
Mm.
Like, what do you want? You want me to take a drug test? Because I'm taking a drug test almost weekly for the Department of Corrections and probation. I have a probation officer,
Still? I mean, this was 7 years ago. I'm surprised. I don't know. He was pardoned. There's no way he still has a probation officer, right?
I'm on release until trial. But what do you do? Is that the statement that you make to the New York Post? It's impossible. Becomes impossible. So what do? You realize this, and I don't know if you feel this way in your own life, is that what the real problem is? It's not out there. It's not that person. If I could just get Steve Bannon to tell the truth, if I could just get Rudy Giuliani to stop lying about me, if I could just get Konstantin Kulak to say that he wrote it's not there.
Who? Constantine something? I've never heard that name before.
You realize in order to survive, it's all inside. Every single piece of it is about figuring out how to love yourself, not live in that shame. And in order for you to be able to be of service first, or to Melissa, like return the beautiful thing that she gave me, which was a chance to be of service to my dad, to return the unconditional love, which is not love without consequences, not love without accountability. It's just knowing that no matter what, even through the consequences and being held accountable, that person still loves me.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. Unconditional love, something that does not exist in Jehovah's Witness land intentionally. And, having not experienced that when I was little, that's something that I find very important today.
All right, you guys, when I think about
All right, yeah, this is an ad. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. That was actually really interesting. Okay, I'm jumping forward. We're going to continue with this. All right, here we go. This is Hunter Biden in conversation with Candace Owens, believe it or not. Let's give this a listen.
After I watched it, I think that was also what came across.
Hold on.
That's getnativepath.com/Candace. I think that was also what came across in your interview with Andrew Callahan, where after I watched it, I think it sort of edited my opinion about that relationship between your dad, because I think since the laptop scandal, in my mind, it was I guess a bit cartoonish, where it was like, well, you can do whatever you want. Go ahead, smoke crack. We we're just powerful. We'll cover it. We'll do it. Like that's the cop. Like whatever. We've have so much power. We've acquired so much power, and then
I don't think it was about power. Like, this dude was being completely destroyed by the media. What are you talking about? Like, what power was being exercised on Hunter Biden's behalf aside from a pardon? I think he was pardoned to protect him from political prosecution, which I am okay with. If a pardon protects people from unjust political prosecution, I'm okay with that pardon. I think there should be some oversight over pardons, but yeah.
when I sort of saw you really defending your dad over this George Clooney thing, I was like, okay, this is just a normal father-son relationship. Like, people can't apply that for some reason when you're talking about a president or somebody that has access to power, but he just loves his dad. And this is the way any normal person would defend their dad. If they said something about your father, if they said something about your son, like, this is so normal that I think that's what was a bit arresting for me. I was like, this is very normal dynamic. He doesn't care if Jake Tapper's on his side. He doesn't care if George Clooney is on his side. That's his dad
George Clooney?
that you're talking about, and he's having a natural reaction that I would have if someone was talking about my dad, my grandparents, my sister, my cousin, even when they do something wrong, by the way. Like, it's like, okay, no, but like, that's my family member who did something
And your
wrong,
kids.
and
And
so you
your
have no
husband.
right,
Yeah.
and I will breathe fire on someone, and that's kind of, and you're right, and now it's getting dirtier. The games people are playing are dirtier, and it is about wanting you to feel unsafe. And I think that is something that is so new
Yeah.
when you have people posting your address, posting where you are, knowing that you have children. And I really do. And it is over perspective. Like, for me, it was me changing my mind on Israel. And suddenly I'm getting the New York Post treatment, and I'm getting all of these people coming after me. And
I think that was partly due to Ben Shapiro. I think Ben Shapiro, like, completely fucked anybody who was not fully in for Israel. He's psychotic. He's got problems.
I'm going, this is my perspective. You're welcome to try to debate me on why I feel the way I feel about, which is because I have two eyes, about what's happening in Gaza. But to do these tactics where you're trying to destroy people that feels very...
Bro, that you literally did that exact thing, Candace fucking Owens. Are you kidding me with this? You are like the biggest perpetrator here, where you try to destroy people personally. Suddenly she's like this innocent victim and this good person. Like, please. What a joke.
Very new to me.
Yeah, and that
Very new to me, she says. Okay.
let's be not let's be honest. I hate that phrase. Okay, I got it from
Okay. Why do you hate that phrase?
my perspective. Is this? I know where that started, and that started when Donald Trump, from rally stages, started the Where's Hunter.
I don't know about it. Maybe. But it certainly started with Donald Trump. Yes, absolutely. Without a doubt.
Or yell, "Where's Hunter?" Call and response crowds. And then they printed T-shirts, and then they made hats, and then they made mugs. Where's Hunter? And then they showed up my door. I didn't have any security. I didn't have anybody. I can't afford that in my life, particularly at that time. And they literally showed up at my door with bullhorns and MAGA hats, and on the direct, and the way that they got there is the New York Post published on the front page, on its cover, an aerial view of my home with
Wow.
the address, and then in the thing said, and if you stand here at this, on this part of the street, you can see, and there are floor-to-ceiling windows, and and so they showed up,
Wow.
and Melissa was what?
I think that shit should be illegal. That's doxing, right? I don't believe that doxing is illegal, but it absolutely should be illegal.
6 months pregnant at the time. She got in the car because she was alone at the time, and sped off and they followed her and they ran her off the road. She panicked. And then, she got and they did it again and they surrounded her. And that's new, man.
That is new.
And like similar to you, is it like before I sat down, I heard where you live, what the level of security that you have or didn't have, and what your perimeter of your property is like. How the hell do I know that? And how is that even remotely safe? Because you have people who now you basically spoke your truth and they decided that you cannot exist. And so therefore,
Not for nothing, but Candace Owens actually did this exact shit to Tim Pool. Not that I have a whole lot of sympathy for Tim Pool, but, we should want to not live in a world where this is a problem. We should want to not live in a world where political violence is an acceptable solution to our problems, right?
I don't know if it's going to happen, but for some reason, I think it's appropriate for me to say, tell you what Candace's address is, who lives there, and the level of security
Yeah,
she
Tim
has.
Pool
What the
doing that was one of the most.
Oh,
It was
excuse
so
me.
obvious
By the
what he
way,
was doing.
my dad.
Okay, now hold on. I don't think Tim Pool did this to her. I think she did this to Tim Pool. I could be incorrect. Let me see. Wait. Let me find out.
Dad said to me, "Is I have to stop saying the F word."
But it was no, it was like seriously, that
yeah.
to me was like it's a declaration of war. Like they
Yeah.
know I homeschool my kids. They know, and he's described.
No, I'm not. No, this didn't happen. I don't believe Tim Pool doxed Candace Owens' address. It was the other way around. She doxed Tim Pool's address, if I'm not mistaken.
Having the security apparatus,
Yeah.
and he's doing it in this rant, trying to be impassioned about the fact that I don't support Israel or I don't support Eric,
What
whatever
is
his
it? Yeah.
motivation was. There is zero reason that you would be describing the perimeter of my house
Yeah.
outside of wanting someone to get harmed.
Yeah.
And like first of all, like I'm not like Tucker Carlson, and I say this to people all the time. That's why I get so worried, because when Tucker gets accosted in public, he just has this like total happy warrior demeanor. I will claw someone's eyes out for my kids. Like I am not the property to try. We will shoot you. Like I will shoot you and I will kill you and I will happily go to prison before you have one opportunity to even make me. And I'm not even going to think think about whether you're going to hurt my
You
kids.
sound exactly like
That's
Melissa.
and that's me. That's just me.
By the way,
And I've said it
yeah.
over and over on my podcast. I will.
Okay, apparently he described the layout and security of her home. I didn't know that, supposedly. And Tim Pool accused her of doing it first. I'm not sure that she actually did do it first, but he accused her of it, and then in retaliation, he did it to her, from what I can tell.
Smile in my mugshot, okay? Because I did the right thing, and I have no qualms about that. So when he did that, I was like, okay, this little beanie boy, okay, little beanie boy, I see exactly what you're doing. The
Oh boy, she talking shit. There's infighting. Mommy and daddy are fighting.
whole world sees what you're doing, and you are doing something because you want my children to get harmed. And then if something happens to them, you're going to go, well, I don't know how that happened, as I was describing the perimeter of her home and talking about what her security is.
He did do that, I guess. Yeah, that's fair.
Which was inaccurate.
By the way, Candace, but that's like, what are we even talking about? That's exactly why they do it. Is that even if the chance is this small, the reason that they do it is exactly that.
It's called stochastic terrorism, and yes, it's existed for a long time, and Trump capitalized on it. He got famous doing stochastic terrorism.
Is to make you really afraid, not for yourself, for your 4 kids, for your family, for the people that work around you. It's like and by the way, I'll tell you, is that I have the same approach that I think Tucker has to it, which is, and I don't know, which is basically like, I can handle it. Like, I can diffuse a situation. I can do it. Melissa, people kill you.
Yeah, I'll kill you, and I'll ask questions later.
And she did exactly the same. And you know what really worries me? Is all of a sudden we're all talking about violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're talking about violence. Violence is defense, but now you're talking about the violence.
Mm.
And then they kind of like go, "Oh, you're gaslighting us. This is bullshit. You're fine. You're really rich and you this and that. You can take care of yourself." It's like, bullshit. Did you see what just happened to my best friend?
Yeah. Look, I mean, we
Like,
just
what are you
watched
talking
Charlie
about?
and he had a
Yeah.
full security apparatus.
Yeah.
We still don't know.
Wow. Oh boy. He lined her up. He set up the shot and let her roll it right down the lane. Her whole bit is about Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel, and Turning Point USA was in on it, and so was Erica Kirk and all of this shit. And he just lined up that shot for her, gave her that bowling ball, and she just rolled it down the lane. Perfect.
What happened to Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
There's zero interest. That's another thing that just completely, for me, was like done with Trump whatsoever. Like, I mean, there's just no way for someone who came from the inside and watched the work that Charlie did to get these people elected. Don Jr. was like a brother to Charlie, literally like a brother to him.
Yeah.
And to see the Trump brothers, to see Donald Trump himself, Kash Patel, who Charlie pushed for him to lead the FBI, had him on his podcast. JD Vance, like, came out of nowhere. Charlie was like not sleeping to make that happen. And to see all of these people have zero interest in the obvious holes in the story, even if ultimately the holes get filled and there's a picture that makes sense, which I put that at 0% chance. But let's just, the fact that they have zero interest and they're just accepting the narrative, like what this has done to me, and I've said
The narrative.
this, I'm just done with politics. I'm just done with politics because I can't even begin to comprehend it. And again, that element of gaslighting that's happening here, where they're pretending that the people who are noticing that none of this is making sense are the crazy ones, and everyone else who's like, no, turn the chapter a week later, it's all solved. And this is how it went down, and none of it makes sense, but just accept this slop. It is the most infuriating thing, and it's just fully removed the scales of my eyes. And I've stopped with this left versus right, Democrat versus Republican. I'm like, this is sheer evil versus good.
By the way,
this is like sheer evil.
But by the way, for real, exactly.
Like, I'm
exactly. It is good versus evil.
Yeah.
It is they have.
I don't like this language. I think that Steve Bannon is evil. I think Donald Trump is evil. Absolutely. But I don't think it's good versus evil, because no one figure is quote unquote good in that way. We can't trust one group of people more than another. There are evil fucking people around. Absolutely. But this is not a good versus evil battle. We just need to make sure that the evil nutcases out there are not given an opportunity to, like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Are not given an opportunity to take control ever again. They're in control right now. Unacceptable. We need to fight against this shit with everything in us.
Torn the mask off of this. I said to you before, is that I pray to God that by the end of this, that you think of me as a friend, because if anything ever happened to me, I want you and Melissa team up. You'd like, oh my God.
Of it's not happening to Charlie Kirk.
And the criticism of you for asking the questions for someone.
Oh, please, dude. Hunter Biden knows that Charlie Kirk was not killed by Israel, right? He knows that. He has to know that. Her garbage about Israel and Charlie Kirk's death and everything, it's all nonsense, okay? He was almost certainly shot by Tyler Robinson. I would put everything on that. Everything.
Who was like a brother to you? It's like, what the F are you talking about?
Yeah. That's the guy.
Your dad told you not to say that, Hunter.
What are you talking about?
It's like,
by the
how
way,
dare you care?
Coming from someone who you've attacked and you've politically, you've had all of your criticism, which I have no problem with, and we disagree on so many things. But I listen to you and I go, right on. Like Epstein, like You want to figure out why they don't want to let the release all the Epstein files? All you got to do is literally look at a picture of Trump standing on his stage at his inauguration and look behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every single person.
He's protecting his donors without question.
I mean, it's crazy. Like Paolo Zampoli and this and that and the other thing and all of these things. It's like, okay. And by the way, anyway, my point is it's like, when are people going to kind of wake up to the fact, and it's not left or right. This is a really, really horrible group of people.
Mhm.
I agree. This isn't left or right. You know, we can have reasonable conversations on tax policy. Now we're dealing with something beyond just tax policy, right? Now we're dealing with people who are truly evil and corrupt. Donald Trump and his ilk.
They're pulling strings that that impact us all, and they make us think that because you and I disagree on the graduated tax rate or some social issue, is that we are sworn enemies.
Mhm.
Not just like sworn enemies, that I deserve violence.
And I could see them, and it does seem like both sides have woken up without.
Remember when Trump posted the Obama address on Truth Social and a gunman drove to their house and was stopped by Secret Service in 2023? Actually, I do remember that. I forgot about it, but yeah, I remember that. And George Soros, I believe, had a bomb put in his mailbox so that when he opened it or whatever, it would explode. Donald Trump is like responsible for so much domestic terror in the United States. It's fucking wild. In any sane society, he would be in prison.
A question. My audience is now split, and I still say what I believe. I haven't changed my position on abortion. I'm Catholic. There's nothing that has changed. I think they're just hearing me for the first time. And I do think there was something about the Charlie Kirk assassination that everyone just sort of looked up.
Oh, fucking please.
We just sort of all looked up at the machine and was like, wait a second, what is this? Because they expected Trump to be ride or die. They expected cash. I mean, wow, this is going to be solved in the clearest way possible, because the entire political apparatus that has the power and the Department of Justice is in the hands of Charlie Kirk's friends. Like, that was how I felt, right? This is it. No, whoever did this is never going to get away with it, because these are Charlie's friends. And what did we get?
They're the people that Charlie Kirk made.
Charlie Kirk made these people. That's exactly right. You led a youth revolution to get these people elected in power. He was ride or die to
the level of disloyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Or fear.
Okay, he's playing into this, right? This is ridiculous.
I don't know what it is.
Disloyalty
Is
disloyalty maybe guided by fear, but it's
so
still disloyalty.
disturbing.
It's disturbing. And I cannot forgive Trump, the Trump family, what they have done or what they have not done for Charlie.
I remember the Charlie Kirk moment, and that moment was very, very dangerous for the United States. I can't believe we came out the other side okay, honestly. I was looking up how to flee the United States because I believed, anybody to the left of hunting immigrants for sport were going to be sent to concentration camps, genuinely. After that, I know enough about history, about World War II era particularly, to know what happens when that type of event happens, when that plays out. That was a Reichstag moment. And if Trump had chosen, he very easily could have taken full control of everything and had his political enemies executed. I'm kind of flabbergasted that that's not what happened, honestly. I believed we were going to see pogroms. I was convinced we were going to see pogroms. But we didn't, to my surprise. But, I have to want, why did Trump not use that moment? Why did he not use that moment to his advantage? I don't know.
Can I keep one of these?
Yeah.
Conspiracy?
Yeah. And I'm
Love
full
it.
on. I'm like, call me a conspiracy. I'm like you, where I'm like, oh, what is the shame tactic of the day? You're calling me a conspiracy theorist. Great. I'm like, you'd be a fool to believe the stuff that they're telling us today. The stories are telling us. I mean, it is something that is just so disturbing. And I think that the Charlie assassination has just so crazy, like, because he was so Republican conservative, but I think it's brought people together in a productive way.
Yeah.
And
Look, I'm here, and you're here, and the I really think that we're not unique. You know, I think very, very kind of emblematic is that, like, I'm like, let's put the past, you know, not behind us. Like, I'll explain anything you want. I'll talk about anything that you want to talk about that you still have questions about, or that anybody is it. But like, this isn't right. This what we're witnessing right now is not right.
mhm.
The level of corruption, the obfuscation, I mean, whether it's Butler or Charlie or
Butler makes no sense.
these things
Absolutely.
that it's just not right. And I mean, it's so glaringly not right. It's almost as if they're just saying,
F
like,
you.
F you.
They're not even
I don't
trying.
care.
We don't
You
even
know
get
what?
good psyops anymore, and that's what I keep saying. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
so disrespectful that we're not even getting good psyops anymore. Like, we're supposed to believe he survived 4. What are we at? 4 assassination attempts. The
Yeah.
first president that's ever survived 4 assassination attempts.
Is that really that unbelievable that people dislike Trump so much that they would want to do that? That's not hard to believe, honestly. Hitler survived 42 assassination attempts. Only 20 of those 42 had any real chance of working. Most didn't even get close, but 20 were very fucking close. He narrowly survived, you know? They placed the bomb in the wrong spot in the room where he was protected by the table that, like, the table itself exploded and he was protected by that. Or like, hang on. Or like he went up to, or like he went into a plane and they placed a timed bomb in the plane and it didn't go off because of the air pressure or the cold or whatever. And they had to rush to the airfield as soon as it landed to disarm it. That kind of shit. It's not surprising that dictators face, you know, assassination attempts or dictator adjacent. I mean, Trump is a dictator, period. But, you know, I can see an argument for saying dictator adjacent at the very least. That's not a surprise.
Yeah.
They lie to us about things, they make a big deal, and then they make it want to, you know, it's going to go away. They're going to keep pretending and telling us that this is a totally normal grieving widow. Okay, no one's buying that. Like, that something's just not right here. Everyone can see that this is not how you would react to your husband being.
I'm not here to police how people react to their husband dying. People react differently. They react in all different ways. Like, that's not a fair assessment, in my opinion.
Shot, and this sort of just, I'm fine, and I like 2 weeks later, I fully accept the narrative. I have no interest in anything else. It's over. Let's close it. I forgive him. Let's move on. You're asking us to abandon our common sense and our humanity is what you're asking us to do, and that kind of seems like where we're at. Like, they're insisting on this, and I'm going, where is this going to go? Because
yeah, I think people are insisting that you stop attacking Charlie Kirk's family specifically. They don't want to close the investigation. You're just going down a weird rabbit hole.
we're not doing the thing they want us to do. Like, they are just constantly giving us slop all the time. I mean, even the recent White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was so much theater to it after, so much theater. And now it's kind of, okay, Secret Service maybe shot each other and we're just going to kind of quietly move on. But Trump needs the ballroom. Like, that's a normal reaction. Hey, there's a shooting duck. Hey, well, we better get that ballroom.
And by the way, it's going to cost $1 billion now. And by the way, it's not from donors. And by the way, we're going to do it. Like, it's just the constant, like, talk about gaslighting.
It's corruption all the way down. Yeah.
this has been just
Yeah.
this, and we're not even, are we even a year into Trump's second term?
We're a little over a year.
A little over a year in a second, and I don't think there's just been. I'm like, how are we going to deal with 4 years of just being gaslit every 5 seconds and
I mean, honestly, that's been going on for 10 fucking years already, so.
told that, but MAGA, literally MAGA, is not MAGA anymore. And what was actually never Trump, which was actually pro Hillary Clinton, if you think about it, that's now MAGA. It's
Never Trump was pro Hillary Clinton. What? I'm sorry. I'm confused.
literally people who had been against Trump the entire time who are lecturing us about this stuff, like the Mark Levins and the Ben Shapiros, and like, we're MAGA, and the Laura Loomers, like, we're MAGA now. Okay, great. Then I'm not MAGA. Like, I've never agreed with these people. I am opposed to these people's ideas. I am opposed to unleashing an actual lunatic who has had to be Baker acted and put on Psych 5150 holds by her own parents who fear her. I'm opposed
Wait, who are we talking about here?
to that actually being unleashed upon the population.
Melissa always.
Caveman, for real. Let me stick this in your ear and just think about it. Caveman, for real, on Twitch says, immigrants that cross the border illegally are criminals to me, though. But they're literally not criminals, is the problem. They have not committed a crime. They've committed a civil infraction at best. But what is the civil infraction? Like, what's the bad thing here? Let's really figure out what is bad about immigrants. Specifically, let's figure out what's bad about them. The honest answer is nothing. Nothing. There's nothing bad about immigrants or immigration. In fact, immigration is good for a society. It's beneficial. It's productive. It improves the GDP. It builds the GDP. It builds the tax base. Yes, even undocumented immigrants pay taxes. They use an ITIN. What's the bad thing? The bad part about immigration? Specifically, can you give me one bad thing about immigration that's not, at the very least, outweighed by the fact that immigration grows the GDP and stuff like that? Immigration is phenomenally good. There's one reason, to not want immigration. And it's racism, plain and simple. That's the only reason.
She's at 5150. I had that. She goes, that person's going to get 5150. I go, what are you talking about? What's 5150?
It's like, and you're telling us this is MAGA now. Like, this is what we do. And so it's been a challenging time, because you do have to have like the humility to admit that I'm quite embarrassed
Candace,
about it.
The president of the United States of America has posted images of himself as a king, I think, half a dozen times now.
Yeah.
Like, when are people going to wake up and go, okay, like, if that's what you want, and by the way, if that's what you want, then you know what? I know that there is the vast majority of Americans, but some that are really going to really have a problem.
Yeah.
Really have a problem.
I am
and
MAGA.
God forbid. And this whole thing is that we all need allies now, because they do have an enormous amount of power. One of the things that I always think about is that it's so easy to silence people, but it would be particularly easy, for instance, to go, like, if someone, like the whole cocaine in the White House thing. By the way, I look at your families. Is that, like, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but I know my truth, and that's all I can do.
And you'd preferred crack anyways.
100%. Okay, and I would
The
not.
evidence is
and by the way,
overwhelming. He
I would
preferred
not
crack.
have. I would not have forgotten it in a cubby.
Not if you're crawling on
to
the
go
floor.
into the Situation Room, which I've never been in before. Okay, exactly. I mean, Jesus Christ. Anyway, but my point is that what if they, what if I'm flying back to LA and and I go through security and they find drugs in my bag? Who would believe me that I'm clean and sober? Who would possibly believe me?
No one.
No one. No one. And I could take drug tests and I could prove it, and I could, I mean, literally, I pack my bag in front of a witness everywhere I go, so that at least I would be able to say that. here's the crazy part, is the idea that I would think that there is a government in power capable of doing that.
It's nonsense. Okay. Charlie Kirk was killed by Tyler Robinson. Until I have not received any evidence to the contrary so far, and it's ridiculous to claim otherwise. Caveman for Real says, I don't mind legal immigrants. Well, what's fundamentally the difference between the two? Ignore the fact that there was a civil infraction of almost in every single situation of them just like overstaying their visa. They almost always just overstay their visa. And that's where the vast majority of undocumented immigrants came from. Ignore that for a moment. What's wrong with undocumented immigrants? What's wrong with immigrants of any sort? Nothing.
It says everything anyone needs to know about where we are.
Yeah.
The idea that you feel unsafe in the United States of America.
Tyler didn't kill Charlie. The technical data proves it. I think I know what you're referring to. I think you're referring to the data showing that they couldn't conclusively say that the bullet came from his gun. That doesn't mean the bullet did not come from his gun. It means the bullet was too disfigured by the time they tested it to know one way or another if they couldn't verify through forensic testing that it came from his gun. It doesn't mean it didn't. That was a line being passed around a while back to back up the possibility that maybe, you know, he wasn't taken out by Tyler Robinson or whatever. The reality of the situation is that is the most logical explanation. Hang on, I'm checking. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah.
Because you disagree with the current administration on a issue that 70% of Americans agree with you on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I think we all can agree is that we need to stop the wholesale murder of a population in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever you think about my father's policy as it relates, I always say to people, you know, one thing he didn't do, he didn't greenlight to turn Gaza into a Trump golf course. You know, with the maitre d' being Jared Kushner with $4 billion in Saudi money.
It's despicable.
Despicable.
Yeah. It's just like they did the deal before. I mean, when he posted that, I'll never forget that, posted the Trump, like, here's what Gaza could be, and like I could have my name in a building, and I was like,
but literally that's what they're doing.
This is dead children. Like, you're literally saying this is all going to be fine because we're going to get up a Trump resort or something. Positively despicable. I mean, just positively despicable, tasteless, indefensible. And
it's not a joke, though, is my point.
It wasn't a joke, and that is the deal.
And that's what they're doing. Literally doing. And by the way, they're doing it out in the open. I mean, it's not as if they're hiding it in any way. I mean, they are making deals as they go through. And, you know, like I always say to people, it's like, you had such a problem with me. I didn't do any business.
I'll take the paintings.
I didn't do a single business. You know, every single person that bought a painting from me.
Yeah, they also talked about how he was like on the board of Burisma Energy Company in Ukraine or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. I'm on the board of the SSA. They want famous people on boards because that's how they fundraise and stuff like that. Plus, he's a fucking lawyer. He's a lawyer, okay? He graduated law school, Yale Law School. It's no surprise that people would want him on their board. Like, all the shit that Republicans bitch about with him being corrupt or whatever, I haven't seen any corruption. I've seen addiction. That's not a surprise, addiction. But, like, using his position corruptly, I haven't seen any of that, honestly, yet. Certainly not like Trump. Like, holy shit.
In the time my dad was there, in office, I had 2 shows and probably sold a total of 20 paintings and 13 of them to my best friend. You know? And that's it. That's it. And you had a problem, not you. Well, you too, but had a problem with me as being this emblem of corruption. These guys, okay, Don Jr. got the single largest loan guarantee from the Department of Defense ever handed out of over $600 million for an energy company, a fusion energy company, of which he has zero experience in. They have gotten Jared Kushner, who's never run a private equity fund, has now a $4 billion private equity fund with 80% of the money coming from the Middle East, of which he continues to raise as he is the ambassador at large on behalf of the Trump administration, not as a political appointee, but simply as a son-in-law of the president, to come to a peace deal of a war in Iran that they started that has cost the economy billions and billions of dollars.
Like gross amounts of money. Yes, absolutely.
For a war nobody wanted. That every president before them, before him, was pressured by the Israelis to get into. And every single one, regardless of what you think of them, from Jimmy Carter, through President Reagan, through both of the Bushes, through Clinton, through my dad, said, you're out of your damn minds. And here's the reason why. This is what's going to happen. So who benefits right now? You know who benefits? The people that are making trades of billions of dollars on market manipulation that occur.
Insider
And we all know
trading has
it's
been-
literally out in the open. But who's gonna?
Yeah, look, caveman for real. You're welcome to be here and all of that, but you got to be respectful at the very least. Don't piss off the mods. They're the ones that control the ban button. Okay. Have a civil, honest conversation and don't be absolutely fucking terrible. If you want, you can come to YouTube and try again, and if you're uncivil there, then you'll get banned there as well. Otherwise, you're welcome to hang out and watch without chatting. All right.
Manipulation that occur.
Insider
And we all know
trading has
it's
been-
literally out in the open. But who's gonna? You know. Who's
No,
gonna
you
do
will not
anything
get a
about it?
disagreement out of me. Like, I am so far off the Trump train. He's posting.
No, by
me
the way, and I'm not even
on
saying
Trump-
it.
like,
for the,
it's
for the
embarrassing.
purposes of, like,
But it
yeah.
is embarrassing. It is embarrassing because we got behind him as the answer to corruption. We thought he was going to be this outsider.
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking with that. Really?
You know, he's going to go to DC. He's going to drain the swamp, and then he became the Loch Ness monster. You know, and so
He was always the Loch Ness monster. Are you kidding me? One of his most famous moments was him saying, yeah, they're corrupt and I'm corrupt too. I know how they do it. That's how I'll know how to reverse all these. You remember where people were saying he took advantage of tax loopholes and hadn't paid taxes in so long or something like that on stage with Hillary. And he was like, yeah, that's how I'll be able to stop it. And it's like, he's been a colossal scumbag literally since since before he was in office. And you fucking idiots allowed him in. Really? Hold on, how far are we in? 114, 149. I'm pretty hungry. I have to actually go eat. And I'm expecting... Wait, let's see. Anyway, yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people are just, like, so stupid. So stupid. All right, I'm actually going to get off of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been fun. I will see you guys on Sunday, hopefully. Assuming maybe there will be a baby. Finally, sometime between now and then. Or maybe I'll be in the hospital on Sunday.